Round 2 has begun. Up top, we've got Huamin and at the bottom, we've got Stefan Giovanni, and that is going to be an exciting matchup between Harry Potter, it's basically Lesson Ramp Spiral Dive, versus a Professor Gilderoy Lockhart hand control creature deck. So, excited to see this one. Going to be a fun matchup. We just watched Harry Potter in round 1 take on the what you call it? I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. The Draco. Wow, Draco Malfoy. Watch Harry Potter take on the Draco deck. Was trying to kind of take his hand away, but Harry able to double draw through that discard effect. It's just only one at a time. Maybe Gilderoy with his double discards off of one discard effect will kind of be able to match pace with Harry. We will see. Looks like both players playing a gentleman's game here. It's going to be action 1 for a lesson, action 2 for a lesson for both players on their first turn. Going to Huamin's third action for a lesson now. And what will the fourth action be? Ooh, looks like his fourth action was just draw a card. Stefan having a more efficient turn 2 as he goes ahead and follows up his turn 1 double Quidditch with a double care of magical creatures. And Huamin ripping that fourth lesson off the top is going to drop a Quidditch lesson and hit Stefan with a foul, putting him down to only one action on his next turn. Looks like Garden Gnome, Cornish Pixie, and Errol were all hit off the top there. That's really tough. Stefan is looking for those cards next. Now that he's gotten his lessons down, all 4 of those are the kind of action that he really wants to see off the top of his deck. He wants to start getting these creatures into play ASAP, and 2 Black Bats is not a bad way to do it. Black Bat is a popular creature because when you play the Black Bat, you immediately do 2 damage to the opponent, and it's a 2 damage card, and I know that doesn't sound that crazy, but in these days, 2 damage, or in these days, in this game, rather, not like the days really changed for the game. In this game, there isn't a lot of incidental creature removal. You have to be playing some pretty specific stuff to kill the creatures. Like Stefan lost one of his bats here, but again, that bat still did 2 when it entered the battlefield. But the bat's hitting for 2 every turn. Usually, to get 2 damage and that extra 2 when it comes in, this would be like a 5 or 6 cost card, as crazy as that sounds, with a little more health. But Black Bat is just one of those fast, aggressive creatures. They're very careful about that damage per turn they put on creatures until the dragons. And the dragons have kind of like crazy damage per turn, but they have big action drawbacks. When you play them, they take away lessons. So basically, they walk you back 2 actions. Oh, Black Bat number 3. Yeah, we're just putting the pressure, putting the screws to him. Not trying to give Huamin the time to build up to those crazy number of lessons for the Spiral Dive plays. So it looks like Black Bat is going to be our action number 1. And Shooting Star is going to be action number 2. Hitting the palm free with our Black Bat enter damage. Very, very strong. And this is a really cool thing that that Huamin's doing. Thank you very much, Huamin. He's revealing his hand to us, which is awesome because then we can talk strategy, we can talk lines, we can see what his options are. And boy, does he have plenty of them. So he's going to draw for turn here. Looks like he actually is using an action to draw for Harry Potter. He's trying to keep his hand size big. Oh no, actually he just wanted to get some more cards in his hand before he played Aparicium. So he plays Aparicium, and it looks like he's going to get 4, 5, 6 lessons off of that. Is that what he just got? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lessons. So that's 5 actions basically for the price of 1. Pretty good. It's going to get all those lessons into play, and we see that he's holding 2 flying laps, so that's the turn we're building up for. And of course, we've got 10 lessons, so we hit that magic number. That means the Harry Potter draw was exactly what we needed. Really, really neat. I love this combo here. So Sandstone Gargoyle going to come down. Fouled is played to deal 4 damage to take an action away. We're trying really hard to out-race Huamin, and we might do a good job at it, because Huamin's finally about to start dealing his damage, But now he's in a position where he has to only choose one damaging card, so he doesn't get to do something like Flying Lapse into deboning. Oh, they obviously are talking about it in the thing where they're both going to reveal their hands to me. That's cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Now, neither of you better be watching the stream. Don't make me do... I didn't set up a delay because I knew I couldn't see people's hands. Might be something I have to think about now. Not that I think you guys are stream sniping Harry Potter casual locals, but you know. Boy, oh boy. So it looks like we are going to go ahead and we used Flying Lapse number 1 to deal 10 damage and draw 10 cards. Puts us only at 10 cards left in our deck, so we better be getting ready for a kill combo here. That was our turn, right? So now Stefan's turn. It looks like he played another fouled, and things are getting really, really tricky because I don't know that Huamin can do 33 damage in one turn. Not that 30 damage in one turn is anywhere even close to impossible. Just, I don't think possible with what we're seeing he has in hand. It's going to be, looks like a draw pass there for Stefan, just banking on these creatures being able to get there. Flying Lapse coming in. It's going to be another 10 damage and draw another 10 cards. But that's going to be, this is basically like the gentleman's way of losing here, just saying, hey, I'm going to lose this one, so if I go down, I'm going down the honorable way. I'm going to take myself out. These LOL coming for fun. These guys getting ready for game 2 here. And again, we see that, you know, while there's a lot going on and Huamin had a lot of options, it's all late game stuff, and that low to the ground creature aggression can just be very, very powerful, because by the time you finally start looking at stabilizing, you know, they're a peeves or so away from just totally taking you out. It was a good game. These guys are going to get the sideboard going into game 2. Curious what they might be putting in the decks to answer each other here. It is really neat that we're seeing a lot of brand new styles. Nobody's really playing the same thing. Nobody's even playing the same thing as people were playing last week. So I'm excited to see a lot of new decks keep coming out of these revival events. I'll tell you, if I was a betting man, I would put money on not seeing Harry Potter. So it's cool that somebody's, you know, taking him for a spin here. Gilderoy, not really relevant in that game. I actually don't even know if we ever triggered the ability, because we didn't have Seamus. Oh, we did have the Broom out. I don't know if we used it, because our opponent just had so many cards. Oh, thanks guys, it's so nice of you. Okay, oh, Transfiguration Test. Ah, we must have sideboarded these in because we haven't seen these yet. So Transfiguration Test is going to be one of Huamin's answers to creatures. It's if your opponent has 2 or more creatures in play, they choose one to keep, and they discard the rest. Obviously, the second part is going to be irrelevant because Huamin himself not playing any creatures. Stefan's kind of looking at the Cornish Pixie and would be happy to use it on one of those, but when he uses the Cornish Pixie, to his dismay, he will see that there are 2 Transfiguration Tests, and unfortunately he's only going to be able to snipe 1 card, meaning he's probably going to go a different direction, and Cornish Pixie is going to be the creature he ends up choosing whenever Transfiguration Test does get used. Through the Arch, also getting sided in here to get played against Stefan. Going to come down after both players have 1 fair turn of 2 lessons, so it's going to be on turn 2 for Huamin. And remember, through the arches, your opponent cannot play any spell cards. To solve, your opponent has to skip a total of 4 actions. Now, I don't know if Stefan's really using anything that can answer through the arch without skipping actions, but at the same time, I think the way that we describe this with our play group is just like living with it. So Stefan, he's just going to walk through the arch. He's just going to go right on through the arch. He's going to live here in Diagon Alley No issue. He's just not going to play any spells. He's probably just going to go ahead and look at a different direction for what he wants to do this game. Corner's Pixie coming down. Now Stefan is getting that view of the hand. Sees the Transfiguration test. That's huge knowledge to have, honestly. Much like the knowledge that you're going to have a Transfiguration test. Stefan kind of gets to study and prepare himself for when those are going to come down. He'll be walking into them prepared. He won't be setting up a board that's going to get blown out by them. Just getting that knowledge is a big counter to those cards. And of course, we see some of the endgame cards here. Flying Lapse, Elixir of Life, and Drought of Living Death. And all of those are cards that you don't want him to have later, but it doesn't really mind, or matter, rather. It doesn't really mind. It doesn't really matter so much that he has them now. An interesting choice. Oh boy, you would have taken this if you could have, huh? So we're going to draw a card for the turn. We're going to use one of our actions for Harry Potter to draw 2 cards. And then we're going to end up playing another Transfiguration lesson and passing. We, I guess, don't want to give our opponent the opportunity to interact with the hair care potions. Since we don't have any characters to take advantage with it yet. Again, no spells here, as Stefan's going to play an item, the Shooting Star. Stefan can use this to discard a card to draw 2 cards. And that'll trigger that double discard on his opponent's side. His opponent, realizing that that's kind of something that's going to start happening here, just wants to start filling his hand. He's using one of his actions every turn on Harry to draw 2 cards. So he's going plus 3 cards and then playing 1 every turn. So even though he's only playing a card a turn, the Through the Arch is really shutting Steven down. Outside of playing creatures, which he doesn't have any of in his hand. We finally just drew into the Garden Gnome here. I think maybe realizing we drew 1 too many. And then shuffling our deck, oops. We're going to go ahead and put another action, 2 more actions into Through the Arch. Looks like we're just deciding it's time to solve it now. Don't let it stick on the board for too much longer. We only have to skip 1 more action to solve it. And the nice thing is that our opponent doesn't have that follow-up Through the Arch. So we are going to get hit with a foul, which means our entire next turn will just be solving Through the Arch. But every turn, that Pixie is just chip, 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 taking 1 health away. And using the extra Harry Potter triggers to draw cards and all of that stuff is just helping Stefan just whittle that health number down slowly, slowly, slowly. Face is the place. Just constantly doing slightly more damage to the face, slightly more damage, until he just really needs 1 or 2 big breakout turns. Gryffindor match is an interesting card here. Just, you solve it right away with one of your 12 damage spells like the Drought, and you get those double actions next turn. Pretty cool. One thing that we see that both of these decks have, and is why both of these decks are going to be doing well this week, and why they won their first games, among many other things. One of the really, really powerful things about both of these decks is they have a way to generate additional actions. Especially Huamin's deck. He's on to a lot of really, really good cards here. Playing cards like Platform 9 3/4 is really ahead of a lot of what other players are doing. Both of these guys are playing fouled to try and walk back their opponent's number of actions. Stefan is trying to squeeze extra actions out of every discard card with Gilderoy. We're getting Seamuses into play to draw extra actions ourselves. Seamus and fouled creates a really big action disparity swing here. Trying to steal those cards from our opponent's hand to force them to use more actions to draw cards. A lot of cool stuff. So we are going to successfully solve Through the Arch. Looks like on that turn where we only had 1 action, we just played another lesson. So then on the next turn where we had 2 actions, we solved Through the Arch, and we hit our opponent with a fouled. Our opponent is going to get his favorite play here, Apparicium. Aparicium is going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lessons into play. 7 lessons into play. We're going to put 7 lessons into play, and we really circumventing that fouled turn from Stefan. Saying, hey, yeah, go ahead, whatever. You know, give me only 1 action. Wait until you see what I do with 1 action, baby. I'm going to put 10 lessons into play. Unfortunately, we can't follow up with anything, so it's going to have to be a pass. And then we give him 1 turn before Flying Lapse comes down. Unfortunately, he stole our Drought of Living Death. So the only big payoff card we have in hand is 1 Flying Lapse, but we know that Flying Lapse is going to draw us plenty more payoff cards. We do have 2 platforms in our hand, so it's going to be like Flying Lapse, platform, you know, this, that, the other thing. Our next turn is going to be quite explosive, but we really need to hit the Spiral Dive. Stefan's sitting here with still 40 cards left in his deck. Oh man, if I was Stefan, I'd be really careful about using actions to superfluously draw cards I don't really need to draw. I mean, I would just be jamming down these gnomes or just doing something because we don't want to help him get any closer because this is like a OTK kind of deck where he's going to just have this big like 6-7 action turn where he's going to deal a bunch of damage. We really do not want to get there. We don't want him to have that turn. Hannah Abbott is a really, really crazy piece of investment too. Like a Hannah pass turn here is a real big balls play by Huamin. I would be surprised to see that. I think he's probably going to play a hair care in a match, maybe. Just kind of slowly, like, okay, you know, just stall out a little bit more. No, he is going to go right for the Flying Lapse. I mean, this is basically it, right? Like, you have to hit deboning here, or you have to do lethal, because if Stefan so much as plays a Peeves, you lose. Now, yeah, sure, he doesn't have one in his hand, but you don't know that, and you do know he plays it. Actually, I don't know if it was Stefan who we saw play it, but you know that it's possible. I would have maybe waited 1 more turn before this, but here we go. We have 1, 2, 3 platforms. The other 3 Apariciums aren't doing much. We have more Flying Lapse, but we can't spend any more of them. Wow, so we actually either didn't draw or just don't have access to most of our kill spells, because we just drew a bunch of kind of meh. So it looks like we're going to use Elixir of Life. We're going to go and get rid of 2 of those potion lessons. We're going to put 16 cards back in the deck. 16 non-healing cards. Some of them are going to be lessons because we have the Aparicium, so we figure we'll be able to just jam them back into play. But what you really want to do is put every single copy of your big damage kill spells, fouleds, any of that stuff, platform 9 3/4. You just want that all back in the deck. It was easier for him to pick out the cards he didn't want to put back in the deck. That's funny. Wow, right? I mean, play to your outs kind of thing. Like, yeah, he had to use that because Peeves literally would have just won the game for Stefan. That's pretty crazy. And that's exactly why we do this commentary. We talk about stuff like that. We talk about playing around stuff like that. We talk about how you can't leave yourself open for stuff like that, because that's exactly what would have happened. And Peeves is still going to be devastating enough. I mean, we're going to take his whole hand, which means 3 Apariciums. It means all of his potential for getting rid of the creatures. It means 2 out of, you know, like 3 or 4 of his circling or, you know, Flying Lapse. We're just shutting down his action. He's going to get 7 cards, right? But now the chances that we draw into creatures, which is really what Stefan hits, he wants to hit creatures. Oh, baby, there he is. Welsh Green Dragon. We were talking about this card a little earlier. Stefan just wants to hit creatures because he wants to put the pressure on. His next turn is going to be Black Bat, Welsh Green Dragon, unless Huamin does something about it. And by does something about it, I mean he needs to slam... what's it called right now? Fouled. So it looks like he played Aparicium. No, he didn't. Oh, no, he just drew a card for turn. So far he hasn't done... Well, he must have played one thing. What are we doing there? What is he discarding his Peeves for? Oh, because Peeves triggers Lockhart, so he has to discard a card. So we're gonna Aparicium, platform 9 3/4, then Flying Lapse, and we're gonna find Spiral Dive and show it to him. Yeah, and I mean it's gonna be 10 and 10, so that's enough for the kill there. Because Flying Lapse is gonna deal 10 damage, and then Spiral Dive is gonna deal 10 damage. Man, how about that? Whew, we just barely got there. And these guys are moving to the next one here. It's going to be game 3. Harry squeaks it out in game 2. Fame is a fickle friend, Harry. Let's see if game 3 goes his way or Lockhart's way. Quick side question, do I play Conquest? I do not. I don't think so. Yeah, the fact that I'm not sure what you're talking about probably means no. If it's a game called Conquest, then I definitely don't. Should I? Is that where this is going? I love games. Your friend raffling off a faction. Oh, okay. Hey, you know what? It doesn't hurt to ask, right? Yeah, no, I don't. Alright, looks like we've got another gentleman's game here. So we've got, you know, lesson, call and response, lesson coming down from Huamin. Stefan goes, looks like it's a lesson. Draw a card from the deck. Oof. I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but again, never really what you want to do. Not your number one. I was just stopping before watching him paint some SCP. Have a good night. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That was really, really nice of you to do. Click around and see if anybody, you know, played Conquest. That's really nice. Very nice. All right, so Stefan finally going to get the action he wanted off that top next card. He's going to get another lesson, and he's able to play his Black Bat to start the creature onslaught. Oh my goodness. Dude, Hebridean Black Dragon is another beater. He's an 8 cost. He's a 7/5, but he doesn't do anything when he enters the field. But he does only take away one of your creature lessons. Through the Arch, coming down from Stefan here, saying, yeah, well, now it's my turn to get one of these down. You don't get to play any lesson cards unless you want to start skipping actions. Because you know what? I don't think I saw any answers in your deck for adventures. And that's right, we sure didn't. Quarrel, another card that's, you know, definitely got sideboarded in here to try and stop the creature stuff. Although the good thing about the Black Bats is you want them to get returned to your hand because they still get that ETB, you know, Basically, they don't skip a beat. They'll do 2 damage every turn, including the turn they come down. The Black Bat's like, I'm good for it, man. You know me, I'm good for it. You know me, I'm good for 2 damage. Come on. Oh, it looks like Through the Arch is going to prompt just a draw, pass, which is, not the kind of turn you want. Although, thankfully, Huamin pluses off having a lot of cards in his hand, so it's not so bad. It's a silver lining kind of thing for him. It could be worse. Oh, now, Cornish Pixie, Stefan going to say, go ahead and just give me the best card you got in there. Now, personally, I take the Pomfrey. That's only because I assume Pomfrey's a one-of. The correct answers are Pomfrey, Quirrell, or the McGonagall. You have to realize that if he Quirrells the Pixie back, he gets the Pomfrey back. But that's fine because, like, what you want to do is this play here where you grab this Pomfrey is you're baiting the Quirrell early. Like, you want him to Quirrell this, thinking he's getting more value out of it, and then put down this guy, right? You don't want this, like, your big payoff stuff to get Quirrelled. Also, you want to be careful walking these items into him since he will reset those too. But Cornish Pixie takes the Pomfrey, that's fine, because you can't get rid of both of the Aparecium, otherwise I'd snap take one of those. Through the Arch, whatever, you know, that's a slower play, so you're fine dealing with that right now. You have your creatures out who are already doing damage, so you're fine if he skips the turn to play an adventure. And then Transfiguration Test is going to be like, whatever, you'll just keep the Pixie and lose the bat. So it looks like you're going to just use Ouch here. This one is a follow-up action. Going to deal 5 damage to the opponent and get a double discard trigger. Did we get the Gilderoy trigger? I was like, oh, he triggers off Ouch, right? No, just kidding. He doesn't. He triggers when you discard your own cards. If you have discarded a card from your hand. Okay, my bad. For some reason, I thought it was both ways. I thought it was like if either player has discarded a card from their hand. But no, it's just only if you discard. I broke my own rule. I usually read the card before I ever step into something like that. I should have just fully read Lockhart. Oh boy. Yeah, here's an Aparecium. Gonna just go ahead and get up to 12 lessons here. Or sorry, 13 with the McGonagall lucky number 13. But what we're missing is something to do with all these lessons, right? And the thing about creatures is when Stefan's milling the top cards of your deck, if he's hitting enough of those key pieces, it's going to get really, really difficult to deal with. I think we needed to take this Pomfrey back, or we're starting to get to a position where we really needed to take this Pomfrey back, because if there aren't enough kill spells left in the deck, we're not going to win with Circling Lap, or Circling Lapse, whatever it is, Flying Lapse, the 10 cost one. I'm confusing Circling the Goalpost and Flying Lapse together. So yeah, Flying Lapse is the 10 cost Quidditch card he's been using. We are going to platform to get ourselves an extra action. And then we are going to play Through the Arch to try and make Stefan skip turns. To me, that says that... Oh, no, I don't like this call and response here. To me, that says that the next thing he's going to do is play Coral and bounce these creatures back. To me, that's like what him spending the time on Through the Arch says. Like he's trying to buy time for the turn to get back his Pomfrey and other stuff. But it looks like Stefan's going to just answer with a Through the Arch. And instead of the Coral, we're going to spend 2 actions on solving Through the Arch. Now Stefan, again, not worried about playing spells, is going to walk right into that Coral turn. But he's going to play a Black Bat from hand. And remedying Black Dragon, which is going to get rid of those Magical Creatures lessons. And this is the fastest Coral I've ever seen in my life. Yep, there it is. It's going to be the Broom and all 4 of those creatures and put the Pomfrey back in his hand. I think that we were forcing him into the Coral anyway, especially because Through the Arch basically is screaming at him, play Coral, every turn because it's one of the only legal actions in his hand. I think that just the Black Bat would have pushed him over the edge. Or even the Doxy being down was like forcing him into that weird position. It does let us change our Cornish Pixie choice for another one of the cards from his hand, but we're going to look at his hand and see a very similar looking hand to last time. And at this point, you either take Elixir of Life or Spiral Dive, because Pomfrey is a much bigger investment than Elixir is at this point for him to actually heal. And heals less, I think, too, right? Yeah. But I think we could have baited the Coral by just playing one more of the Doxy or Black Bat. I don't think we needed the Dragon. We walked ourselves back a lesson, too, by doing that. I'm also a huge nerd for extra actions, so I personally would have liked rolling out Seamus Finnegan. Because Seamus Finnegan, 2-3 turns ago, would have already paid for himself. Or he would, be paying for himself. We could use it to get through the Arch faster. We could also use it to reset post-Coral faster. I realize that we don't have a ton of cards in our hand to throw away, but, Shooting Star lets us +1. Still getting the discard effect, who knows? Another Cornish Pixie. Okay, this one comes down. You see the Flying Laps. You take the heck out of that card. Man, he's trying so hard to play these Flying Laps because that's what gets him that combo. You take that Flying Laps. I think you have him. And, the fact that he's down to 5. 100% you take this card. If he's going to play Pomfrey and use that to heal, that's fine. Actually, I don't know. Okay, I take back my own statement. You don't 100% take this card. I'm crazy. He loses the game if he plays a card. You take Pomfrey. You take Pomfrey. Ignore me. I wish I could delete the last 2 minutes. I just said the dumbest stuff. Alright, we took Transfiguration Test, which is fine because it resets all these guys, and it gives him back the, it does give him back the Potions healing card, but, Actually, I think that was the right play. Because if he uses that... Well, no. I lied. I take it back. You take the Pomfrey away. Because you still get to choose a character to keep if he uses the Transfiguration Test. So you just keep the Pixie that has the good card under it, and you lose the Bat. We definitely take the Pomfrey to stop this heal. But Pomfrey's going to put 12 cards back in the deck. It's going to bring us up to 16. So we will be able to actually afford Flying Laps. But it would have to be next turn. So we won't be able to, because Stefan's going to deal us 4 damage and we're going to draw a card. Putting all the greatest hits back into the deck here. Alright, we've chosen all of our cards that we like. We've put them in the deck. Stefan's going to go ahead and run out this broom, run out this dragon, and pass. This is the turn. You have to win right now. But the spiral dive isn't going to do anything for you. Platform, it depends on what we draw, right? We're going to be using flying laps. We're going to have 2 actions here. Platform puts us up to 3. Flying laps puts us to 2. We missed 1 card, and it was probably... I think that 1 card was literally our Drought of Living Death. That's pretty funny. Not that it's nearly enough damage. Right? Flying Laps isn't enough. Spiral Dive is not nearly enough. 2 Spiral Dives isn't enough. Fouls and stuff isn't enough. I just don't think we can get there. If we had the 12 for the potions... and we could do another 15... It's 27. Yeah, Stefan's sitting here at 40 cards. I just don't think... I don't think it's in the cards. Pun very much intended here for Huamin. I think that Stefan's got this one locked up. And it's just creatures, man. That's it. He hits him for... you know, everything but 1. And now you just pass. You just pass and win. As soon as he draws a card, he loses. So that's it. I think he's probably reporting here. And it looks like we got the reports in for both rounds. So that's going to be a 2-1 victory for creatures here. Again, Huamin has a really, really cool deck that has some crazy lines late game. But it takes some time to get there. As much acceleration as... what's the one name of it? Here it is, Aparisium. As much acceleration as Aparisium is giving him, I mean, it's literally helping him skip like 5 turns of setup. The creatures just hitting him and taking away relevant cards is really, really powerful. And he just doesn't end up having the time to play things like the Hana or the healing spells and give himself, you know, a little breathing room. Because he plays the healing spell basically just to not die and immediately loses most of those cards again. So it's pretty tough when creatures are just beating down your front door. We're going to go ahead and move on into round 3, guys, so we'll see you in the finals.